Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for the first battle report of the tournament La Dame du Lac in Switzerland. I was facing a Kingdom of Equitaine player, like an old, yeah, I don't know the exact name how to say that, but it's like an old friend, so to say. He was managing a shop of miniatures in the old days, and basically when I was quite young, like 15 years ago more or less, we played together, and at this point of time he was like all the time beating me, and I didn't know much about the game at this point of time, so it was funny to face him again after like 15 years. It was really, yeah, a cool experience to see him again. First of all, regarding the pairing metrics, so this was our first round. We knew that most of their team were casual players, so we expected to win big here, and we obtained quite positive matrix. We didn't have many bad rating in the matrix, so it was not too complicated to pair well. We throw myself first. I like often to throw somebody who has red but a couple of greens that he can reach, because basically you are sure that you can avoid the bad matchup and get something positive. And basically we kept in hand our player with 2 negative matchup to make sure we can choose the less bad for him, so to say. And then we clicked with, yeah, what was typical for us during this weekend. We clicked with both our aggressive lists, which are very similar to each other, and they throw, I think they threw us first the EOS, so we click with both, knowing that we would have an unstable matchup, which is what we obtained. So we obtained a green and unstable and a drawish matchup according to our matrix and our view of the matchups. You know my list already. Regarding my opponent, so he was playing a general on the hippogriff, which wasn't, it wasn't the best kit that he could have, basically, because he had only a 3-up armor save, which is not great against my AP2 shooting. Then he had the BSB, combat BSB, but again with paired weapons, so I think it's also the same 3-up armor save. Master Divination, which is only 4 spell, not a lot, but 2 binding. And then he has a lot of knights, which was also one of the main reasons why I decided to put green, because basically I'm not scared of the Lord, and not scared by the type of knight that he fields and the amount of knights. So I felt pretty okay. So 2 times 9 knights, then he has 30 peasants, 20 archer, 5 peg knights, but the Hippo Lord cannot go within the unit, so I didn't fully understand the choice of the 5 Pegasus Knight. Then he put 10 Hooded Men, a Sacred Reliquary for the peasants, 2 Trebuchet and 2 Yeoman Outrider. So definitely not the most aggressive list that we can build, and I saw already some holes in the list, so I was quite happy about this pairing. We got Secret Target, which was the same secondary objective for everybody at the tables. And then we got randomly Marching Column, which is something that I often like to play because I think it's very strategic and interesting. Spell selection, you have both spell selection here. Matchup analysis, so like I said, the Lord builds don't scare me too much. He hasn't many knights, meaning the knight boss that can charge far and possibly break me in 1 round. He hasn't many of them, it's only 2 boss, so it's not too much of a problem. Possibly, I think a possibility that I saw for him was to minimize with the map, put his token in front of something that I might struggle to attack, and then focus on defending 1 secure target to try to draw the objective and save as many points as he could. That was definitely one of the possibilities that I saw. Game plan was to get rid of the chaff first to control the movement phase and make sure he cannot get any chaff, push and charges. Use my superior amount of threats to my advantage. I thought already, if you check his list, I mean, he hasn't so many mobile elements, meaning depending how he deploys, I could have opportunities on one or potentially both flank. And I expected it to be a small win. Deployment. So he won the roll for side, decided to give me the side with the impassable, which I think is fair. What surprised me a bit was his choice of secure target. He put it right in the middle. I have a wall to secure my approach, and then I'm not too too troubled by the impassable. What I would have done if I were him would have to put him here on the right somewhere to make harder for me to deploy compact, basically to make sure I need to split my force with the impassable. So I would have put it somewhere on the right, I guess. So then I decided to put mine on the far left, more than 24 inches, quite far on the left. I figured out it might be hard for him to put a scoring unit near that, and then I can put my Tusker to guard it. I thought that would be optimal, and then I can just drop in between. Since he won the roll for side, basically I was able to adapt my secure target, like I said, to be in optimal position, and then also to start. So I started from the left, put Tusker, Bruiser, and a Saber-tooth Tiger, and he started as well from the left, put some Yeomen, a Trebuchet, and the first Night Boss. So after that, I decided to drop for first turn, and basically what I put is some distance between the Night Boss and my AP1 unit, basically. Still, I figured out that with a Great Khan within the unit and a lot of ranks behind the wall, it's very unlikely that he's able to break me, so I felt confident the Death Star can still achieve something in this matchup where they don't have a lot of AP, so it could be a struggle to deal with Night Boss. I figured out between the output of the Great Khan and also the fact that I can use the wall to my advantage, I should be fine. Then in the middle of my deployment, you find the Mercvrats with both the Shaman and the BSB in between. Far left, the Tusker to try to... I saw already if he decided to put straight away the Yeoman, so I saw already that he wasn't going to compete a lot for that. So I figured out I can easily push toward the middle and then just use this unit of Bruiser to guard this left secure target, and then basically threaten the flank with the Tuskers. I put my Frosty here near the Mercvrats. Make sure if he charges me, I strike first, I should be fine. Then you have other Bruiser and other Trident that could act potentially as scoring or chaff or anti-chaff in the zone where it mattered the most. And then on my weak flank, I just put a Giant alone just to make sure you need to deal with me. And it's not easy for his list to deal with a Giant to make sure he can kill him. So he needs to leave something that's going to be worth more point than me on this flank, which was totally fine for me. And his counter deployment, so after that he deployed his other boss of Knight with 2 characters within, BSB and Mage, a second Yeoman unit, the Wooden Man in the forest, block of Peasants with the Reliquary, Archer, and then Pegasus, and on the far right, second Trebuchet. So I felt the Trebuchet were really exposed, and then second, weakness in this deployment. So to compensate the fact that Tusker could push freely on the left, he decided to put his general here on the left, which somehow makes sense because it avoids me just pushing 14 forward. But on the other hand, basically he has no leadership on the Peasants area here on the far right, which could be a big issue for him in the early stages of the game. In his Vanguard, just move forward some chaff, and then on my turn 1, I started with a charge. Basically, I took the charge from this Tribesman unit onto his Yeoman. Basically, I thought if I succeeded, it was an 11, so unlikely that I make it, but if I fail, basically nothing can charge me, so I'm fine. And if luckily I make it, then it would be really nice because I could either overrun or block that unit, and then I would have dealt with the first piece of chaff, which is okay for my game plan. I can also always flee later on, so I had plenty of options, and then punish with counter charges. So my turn 1, so I failed that charge. Move forward with Death Star, but make sure I can always move back 3 and be behind the wall. Put in position as well the Bruiser unit, move forward the Mercvrats to have some in short range of the second unit. I really want to deal with both units as soon as possible. And then I move forward, but without giving him any charges turn 1 with my scoring unit and Frosty. In the magic phase, I Binding Scroll, Wrath of God, since I had 2 binding, and then I got Hand of Heaven off on this unit that is too far away from the general, meaning he had the leadership on a 6 or 7. He failed that one and fled over them. He passes the 7 minimize rerollable on the Peasants Panic, which could have been a drama already. And then with shooting, I will kill the second cavalry. So turn 1, I've dealt with both cavalry, which is more than I expected, and could really make almost impossible for him to move forward, in my opinion. His turn 1. So he failed to rally on the leadership 3, I guess, with the cavalry, which went out of the table, which is nice. I forgot to mention on the right flank, since I'm not threatened, I push the Giant out of arc of the Pegasus, but just to make sure that you can choose what you want. Either you let me push and get all these points for free, or you can use Pegasus to make sure I cannot push forward, but then you're worth a lot of more points than me, and I would be really happy to continue to to run around and block you from doing something else. He figured out it's more important to be strong in the center, so he decided to ignore completely my giant, who would have a 6 rerollable charge onto the trebuchet, which I liked a lot. Other than that, yeah, also I positioned my giant in a position that he couldn't move the Pegasus here out of my arc and be in a nice zone. So the only move that he had to move forward or in the right zone would have been like he did. He couldn't move anywhere here without risking me charging him, which was something that I like from the giant, especially being also on the hill. He moves his Pegasus Hippogriff Lord towards the middle to bring some leadership for the peasants. Move these guys forward. I still had the possibility to charge with the Death Star, but basically he positioned himself to be, first of all, steadfast minimized, and then second of all, to have some counter charges available. So I didn't find that so interesting for me. Magic Face, he got some buffs off on the peasants, +2 weapon skill. An Earring Strike, miscasting, did 1 wound with 4 dice. Did 1 wound to my bruiser, I guess, and in exchange he lost the knight, which I was really happy about the trade-off. And then shooting, he did 3 wounds to my tribesman. That passes 9 rollable. Panic check. My turn 2. I charged the chaff with bruisers. I need to get rid of all available chaff, so I was okay with that. So I just charged him. What else? Move these guys slightly forward, just bait him to charge me. If he wants to, he can charge me, I can flee and then rally to safety. On the left flank, since he opened the left flank for me, I move aggressively forward with the Tusker out of line of sight to threaten the flank of the Night Boss, forcing him to react and making sure he cannot escape line of sight. Right flank, I charge with my giant onto the trebuchet. The downside from the fact that I wanted to cover his move forward is the fact that I cannot get any good wheels to overrun against the archer, but yeah, that was the price to pay. I think it was still the right call to look that way to make sure he cannot escape line of sight in any way. Other than that, yeah, I move my shaman to the left, thinking we could have some combat at some point of time, and maybe I need to exit sensitive characters, so I just put him on the left, thinking also this score unit is going to go for secure target, so he's not going to do any combat most likely. And reposition my tiger in case he wants to be aggressive. I can always use the tiger to stop one unit and deal with the other on the charge. In Binding Scroll, second time a Wrath of God, which surprised me a bit because now I thought he might keep it for combat. What happens? Yeah, I got something. I think I got some blast. Yeah, he activated an Horizon token. He had only one. Activated on his Lord, I guess. And then I got, I think he dispelled Hand of Heaven. And I got -1 toughness on the Lord to make my shooting easier. I think I activated +1 ward save on them to avoid me shooting at them. So instead I casted Smite on him to shoot him, basically. That was the idea. Shooting went really well. I one-shot the Lord with all my poison shot. Rolled really good. Got like 6 poison. Didn't do much armor, so he dies. Come back to life with 1 wound remaining. And with the crossbow from the Great Khan, boom, kills him. So, a bit fortunate for me. But still, if I would have done only like 2 wounds, I still think it's after that you need to back up and it's still another game. So it's a bit fortunate. It helps me to gain control of the flank, obviously. I was happy about that. But still, if I didn't kill him, what can he do next turn? He has no Druidism, so he cannot heal. So the only thing he can do is move away from the Merc Vets and then try to do something on other part of the map, basically. Giant kills the Trebuchet and reforms. These guys deal with them. His turn, he does multiple charges that makes flee both my small unit, passes 9 rollable on Death Star. He fail charge, so this unit fail charge after they charge the chaff. This unit redirect on a 12 Swift Stride against my Death Star behind the wall, which I was okay with. I think I shouldn't lose. And then he tried to roll the peasants. I don't know if there are any, maybe also double 6. I'm not sure about that, but he took the charge against the tribesmen that fled. And also the Pegasus charged something and failed charge. So basically all 4 of these units failed charge. But as you can see, he's really exposed now to my charges. In his magic phase, he got nothing too special, I think. No big combat buff. He killed another with shooting another tribesman, but didn't matter much. On my turn, yeah, I see some nice juicy charges. Tusker on the flank on a 8 Swift Stride. And then I got as well the Frosty on 11 Swift Stride to his flank. My thought process was, even if the Frosty go alone, I have a good chance of breaking him, which would be nice. And if the Tusker go in, I think that's the end of the game. And that's what happened. So I go in, the Giant charged them. He passes third check on a 7 no reroll, I guess. In case he would have fled, I could have redirected to the flank of the Pegasus, which would have been really interesting for me. Magic Phase, I got Hereditary on the Tusker to secure the combat. I also got, I thought they had Resilience 4, but they have only Resilience 3. I think I got -1 Resilience, which was for nothing, but didn't matter much. He used Horizon token to try to save these guys, but didn't manage to. I think I one-shot him, or there's like one guy left, and then I pursue. I also positioned Tiger in case I failed the short 4 Swift Ride overrun, which is unlikely. Position myself that I could still chaff him and avoid the charge, basically. Yeah, that was it. I think with my shooting, what did I do? I think I shot some of them, maybe kill 1 or 2. And then after that, what happened? Yeah, I overrun on the night on the forest with the Tusker in flank, and that's when he decided to just stop, because he lost these guys this round, he lost that this round. So here I'm in combat in here. What has he left from turn 3? Only these 2. They have nothing to charge, and then it's going to be my turn. And I can just charge again with the Tusker that have a free pivot over there. I can charge in anything I want and just kill him. So there is, I mean, the game is over. And what I did also, I forgot to mention, that I just move away the Great Khan since I lost a couple of wounds from Trebuchet. Backed off with my Tribesman to just make sure he has no charge, I take no risk. And then I was ready to fight if needed with the big boss of Merkvert with both character. I think I was totally okay to fight any of his unit with this star. So yeah, quick game, went really well for me, lost nothing, 20-0. Post-game analysis very quickly. Yeah, I was happy to drop between 2 tokens, that was the optimal situation. I think he should have, what I said at the beginning, he should have put his token on the right and deploy compact on the right to make harder for me to get him, and also get harder for me to score secondary. He gave away too quickly the flank. I mean, you cannot ignore a Giant pushing your flank that is going to eat one of your unit one after the other. I think that's not possible at all. The fact that I one-shot the Overlord was obviously lucky, but like I said, it allowed me to speed things up to kill him faster. But even with like 1 or 2 wounds remaining, I think he's still in deep trouble, and at some point he's going to die, I think, from the range damage only, because with only 3 up armor save, it's like 5 up for him to save. I mean, you're going to die quickly. Yeah, he took some long charges turn 2 that I didn't understood, because you saw the outcome after he failed that. I think he didn't check what was going to be the outcome if he failed the charge, and when he realized that, it was already too late. So I think that's a key point that I could give to maybe players that are less competitive or less used to tournament. Before you take a charge, try to check how it would look like in a failed charge situation, even with a likely charge, with an easy charge. Always check what happened if I fail the charge, what could be the price to pay. Because here in this situation, he couldn't really flee, because he would have fled in a situation where the Giant could have charged and pushed him out of the board, so he couldn't fled. So basically, he took like 6 in exchange for the game, and even the 6 wasn't game breaking. I think there is a low chance that he breaks me in 1 round, so even that wasn't too interesting to take. Yeah, the round went really well for us. We got to 20, 15, 13. The cap is at 50, so we won it quite easily. That's what we wanted to do, so happy to start well. It was a good warm-up round, and then we will have some harder opponent for next round. So guys, thanks a lot for watching this game. It was a quick one, but I thought still interesting, and talk to you soon on the channel. Bye.